Okay, so it is 7:02 and we're going to start the meeting. We have board members Claire, Susan, Jan, Brenda, and Beth present. Charlesie is also on board today. And John and Stefan won't be making it, and we're waiting to hear what's happening with Dan. So does everybody have the agenda?
Dan is coming. I'm texting him a link now.
Okay. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? That I sent and that had the link embedded in it. We do have one adjustment, which is that we have a request from the city. We have upcoming meeting about the neighborhood plan, and we have a request from the city for people, if people are interested, they're making themselves available to, oh, there's Misty. Thank you, Misty. People will be available from the city, will be able to meet with people prior to the formal meeting. I don't quite get what's going on with all of that. Did you get an email that was forwarded from John about asking for this?
I did, and I'm confused if that is about the corridor or this is about the neighborhood organization.
No, it's not about the NORP. It's about the neighborhood plan. Remember that we have a neighborhood plan meeting with RRCO and SACO and the CAC scheduled sometime this month.
The 30th.
The 30th, thank you. So this is a preliminary meeting to that, and I don't know what the agenda of that is and why they feel the need to have a preliminary meeting with people. But
it said they wanted as many people as possible, and I didn't know if are they asking people from River Road community to come, or are they wanting as many board members as possible to be there?
I saw that it was addressed to the board.
Yeah, it's board. I think this is intended to be the boards specifically of each of the groups.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was true at first, but then that last email sounded like spread the word widely. We're going to have a community meeting with both people, and
that would be different than the way they've characterized it to the CAC. Beth, do you agree?
Okay.
You're on mute, Beth, but I'm seeing you say yes. You want to unmute?
So, Beth, do you know anything more about this invitation from them? From Terry?
You know, I don't. They had phone conversations, and Susan, I'm hoping you had one with each of the CAC members, and then planned this meeting, and they've hired a facilitator. And I think there's some confusion around the process moving forward.
Okay.
Susan, you understand it?
Yeah, I concur. And I think what they're trying to figure out is how do we keep some aspects of the neighborhood plan moving forward when there are some things that are held up because we have now gotten so delayed in the process that there are now city, other things that are happening that are kind of competing for the city's attention, I think is the best way to kind of think of it. So that's what they were trying to do, was get us together to talk about that in a meeting on the 30th. That's my understanding.
And I guess my understanding, first of all, they're in the process, well, after the first of the year, they're intending to hire somebody to take Chelsea's place. So they're shy one person working with the CAC.
Yeah.
I think there is some, my understanding when I talked to them individually was that they wanted to go ahead and try to begin the outreach process, the communication process to the broader community with the neighborhood plan, excluding the corridor. And that's not what the agenda that they sent out suggested.
Okay, Beth, I need to interrupt because what I was asking about was an email that John forwarded this morning from Terry Harding, inviting all of us to meet with them one-on-one.
Right, and
That's
so
what I'm leading to.
Oh, I'm
Right.
sorry.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I'm leading to. And that's what I thought the meeting on the 30th was going to be. In the meantime, they hired a facilitator, and I think the facilitator is trying to get a sense for the process moving forward.
so this person they want us to meet with is the facilitator.
Is the facilitator for the meeting on the 30th.
Okay, that was
And-
totally unclear what
Yeah,
that was
and-
all about.
in all candor, it's truly it's redundant for those of us that already met with Terry and those folks prior to that was supposed to be our preliminary meeting before the 30th. Again, I think that they hired this facilitator and now they're just trying to get more process and more clarity to how we're going to do this going forward, which
And
I
think
appreciate.
I think their intent is for the facilitator to have a better understanding of where each of the people that will be at the meeting on the 30th might be in the process.
Thank you for that clarification.
That was my read as a cold
Claire-
turkey person.
Okay. So my
I-
thought is, who is someone raising their hand?
Sorry, I guess I can do that. Yeah, sorry, this is Dan.
Okay,
My
hi,
wife
Dan.
said iPhone, sorry. I just actually was on with half the city staff and this came up on something unrelated. The planning staff got hit with just a bunch of good things, but it changed their whole schedule around. And so they're totally discombobulated right now. So if I'm coming to the conversation a little late here, but if it seems as though they're a little disjointed, they are for a variety of reasons. They were told they had to get something done by mid-year this next year, which is a shortened time frame already on the parking requirements. And the state gave them actually until December. So they have 6 additional months, but that means that on the one hand, that's good, but that means they have to cram a whole bunch of community outreach into that, into the process that wasn't there. So they had to basically turn on a dime on everything. So they're all the other projects they're working on have been affected, including this. So I know that they were planning on being more attentive with this, but they're running behind the 8 ball on a variety of things. And then when you add in staff shortages and the holidays, it gets even worse. So I don't know if that helps in some regard for you, but that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you, Dan. What I was going to suggest is everybody was sent this email from Terry that was that John forwarded, and my suggestion is you respond to it according to your availability and interest for these one-on-one meetings. Does that sound like a good strategy? Because it's short. She wants meetings this week. I mean, that feels like ridiculous to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can we leave it at that and move on?
Sure.
Okay, I see thumbs up. Okay, thank you all for that. Are there any other announcements? Jan?
Nope, I don't have anything.
Yeah, I'm muting. Just a little report from the Filbert Grove. I had a very educational hour in the Filbert Grove this past week with Tom Bettman. If you don't know Tom Bettman, Tom is a do-gooder here in Eugene and is very knowledgeable about all kinds of agricultural issues. The Filbert Grove has Eastern Filbert blight, and it's not severe, but anyway, that's just kind of a little bit of an update. I'm doing a little bit of chainsaw work unauthorized in the Filbert Grove to kind of cut some wood that needs to be out of there. And also something totally different that I'll send the link when it's ready. I did an interview a couple weeks ago with a fellow who is the editor-in-chief of the Congress for New Urbanism. He's knows a lot about new urbanism. He's been a part of that from the beginning. And I'm editing that conversation right now for my radio program. And I think that would be real interesting for everybody to hear that conversation about new urbanism. So updates will be forthcoming when I have that edited and ready and podcasted so people can listen to that. But this guy is sort of in the interior of the new urbanism movement and very interesting.
Thank you, Jan. Okay, so moving on to, I don't see any other announcements, any other hands? Okay. Consent calendar. So there were links to the meetings, the October meetings in the consent calendar. And that's pretty much it. There were some announcements at the back of the agenda that I sent out. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes from October? You need to use your electronic hand. I can't see everybody.
I make a motion. This is Susan Tippleson. I will make a motion.
Okay, second. Jan, seconded. And all in favor to approve the October minutes? Let's 1, 2, 3, 4. Dan, I don't see you. Okay, I get it.
I raised my hand.
Okay, I'm not seeing everybody up on the thing. So is that a unanimous? Because someone help me count. Okay. So all board members who are here approve the minutes from October, and we do have a narrow quorum here, so we're good. Thank you all.
Claire, excuse me, is someone
Yeah.
taking minutes tonight?
Well, the arrangement I made with Stefan is that is that we're recording the meeting for him to take the minutes.
Okay, just checking.
If someone wants to take the minutes for him, then that's also agreeable.
I don't have good enough Wi-Fi to volunteer, but I
Yeah.
didn't want us to miss it.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, now, last general meeting. Any thoughts about how that went? This was a meeting with the Board of Engineers, the Army Corps of Engineers. Susan?
I loved it. I just have to say huge kudos to the team because I thought it was a very well presented schedule. Like y'all kept it tight, things kept moving, they were responsive, y'all handled the questions really well. I learned a ton and I'm interested to learn more. And I just had to say, I thought that was fabulous. So huge congratulations on my part.
Great, thanks, Susan. Jan?
Yeah, I would say something similar to that. Of course, this is the best I have to offer for public relations, but that doesn't, I think, detract from the value of the information. That do all these tests that got people up there in all kinds of different realms of dam management. I've looked at some of the maps afterwards, and it's pretty remarkable. But I really appreciate that the meeting was organized, that we had a good turnout, and it's a really critical issue, and I'm glad that happened, and appreciate the education we all had. Maybe everybody ought to have a canoe on site, but probably not likely that this is going to happen, but
Okay. Charlesie, did you and Jackie have a summary?
Not yet. The thought was that we were going to use the meeting of our emergency preparedness group on December 6th. That's going to have to be postponed. Jackie's going to be out of town, and I think it's really important that she be a part of the debriefing, because out of that we'll talk about next steps. And honestly, there hasn't been the time to do a summary.
Yeah,
You know, and it will be done when it's done. We're anxious to see that develop and continue on as well.
okay. John was concerned that he didn't know if you use the opportunity to recruit to the committee. Did you have any?
I haven't even read through all of the chat yet, so.
Okay,
you
so
know,
premature.
Recruits have been made. It's going to take time. It will be quite a process.
Okay,
But, you know, we share the same sense of urgency. That's why we did what we
Right.
did. So,
and good work, Charlesie. Brenda.
I was just going to say, I thought they did a really good job of saying, you know, here are some threats, but also saying the expectation is we're not in danger. We need to be prepared, but we don't need to expect that we're going to need to be having a canoe literally, just have a plan. And I really appreciated the balance that they made.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so according to the agenda, we are supposed to be welcoming people from the Equity and Community Engagement Committee, and I don't see that they've logged in. I'm
There's
just gonna.
Jackson Kellogg, isn't that him?
No, hey, Jackson. Jackson is on the Neighborhood Leadership Council, and he was gonna offer after the city talked, but before we just go ahead and move into Jackson's thing, I need to check my email and see if they sent me something.
Maybe I could go ahead and start with a newsletter. We could do the newsletter instead for the moment, and then.
Well, I don't want to waste Jackson's time. I mean, he's here to present to us from NLC, so we can go ahead and do that conversation. Is that okay?
Sure. I don't. Yeah, sure.
Okay. And I do not see an email from them. So before we give Jackson the floor, I want to know, show of hands or of buttons, responses, if people have had any time to look at the notes that we've been passing around about the NERP. Iffy. The only person who has a hand is is Susan.
I read
Okay.
it and I read it and watched portions of the video, but I have to admit I was multitasking on the video. That's why I was concerned that I wasn't fully versed in that before Jackson was going to speak.
So Jackson, I shared the video from the Whitaker Council presentation that the city did to the Whitaker Council.
Oh, great. Okay.
So, and since they haven't come here, maybe you could start with helping kind of orient people to what it is we're talking about.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for having me. It's nice to see all of you tonight. So I'm part of an advisory committee that's been working with the city on the NORP revision. And I've also been, John Belcher is also on that committee, and he's great. He knows a lot of stuff and has a lot of incredible depth of like history with neighborhood work in Eugene. So you guys are super lucky to have him on your board. So the NORP is the document by which the city recognizes neighborhood associations in the city of Eugene. It's kind of like the Constitution. And you know, the neighborhood associations are recognized by the city, and the NORP sort of tells what the standards are to be a recognized neighborhood association. So the city staff is working on a revision, and we really have not even been able to figure out why this is happening, interestingly. So why they're doing this now, it's hard to kind of get a straight answer out of Fabio about why they're pursuing this, but they are. And you know, we agree on many of the advisory committee, and the people that have reviewed this carefully agree on a lot of the changes and think that they're good. But there are some sort of key points that are actually really important. And one of the things that has been kind of a sticking point is neighborhood publications. You know, the city is proposing that we would neighborhood associations would have to allow 25% of the space in their publications to be given to the city to put its content in the newsletters and other publications, even online publications. So it's kind of a hard thing to work with. And then let's see, what were some of the other sticking points? John Belcher typed up a great little blurb that talked about this. But here's the real problem actually, is that the neighborhood recognition policy, the issue is that if you don't follow these things, you could actually be not recognized by the city. And what the city staff is proposing is actually mixing things in that are very particular policy things with sort of bigger picture things, when really there needs to be a set
And
of.
you're frozen,
Oh,
or maybe I'm frozen. I don't know.
do I seem good?
Go ahead.
Oh, Jackson's good.
Great. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was my end.
No problem. So I don't know if you missed anything, but anyway, what the city is proposing is that the NORP would include a lot of things that are actually sort of standards, and that to make a change, we would actually have to go to city council. So what the advisory committee is proposing is that the NORP and the standards would be separate. There would be two different documents. One would be a NORP that would be something that would be not changed very often by city council. And then the standards are things that the city staff could recommend changes to. And I kind of think this is where this is going, because Fabio and city staff, they're really unwilling to like consider this. And I think it does put us at risk. So, you know, if they mix in sort of minutia of city policy into the NORP, then they could say, well, you didn't follow this policy, you're not going to be recognized. And I think that's a real danger to what's being proposed by city staff.
One of the things we talked about is pulling out stuff into bylaws, which is separate from the charter.
Right, exactly. That's a great way to think about it. It's kind of like there's a charter and then there's bylaws, and they're just kind of mixing everything together.
So I'm not sure about why. I guess the city is expecting us to endorse their document, or so. I'm not sure what's being asked of us.
Okay, so I'm glad you asked about that. It's a great question. So what the city has said is that, Fabio really has said, is, well, we've reached out to people, we've sent them emails, and nobody's like participated. Well, the thing is what I told Fabio is, you're not Obama. Like, people are not going to jump on your email or your tweet like Trump and, you know, go storm the Capitol. You know, if you want people to do things, you actually have to go to neighborhood associations and talk to people. So I think that he's doing this in response to me saying that. You can't just kind of, you know, send an email and expect people are going to take your survey.
Yeah, right.
Everyone's totally like up to their eyeballs at email. We don't have any time for it.
And surveys.
So, Claire, are you okay if I take Brenda's question?
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brenda.
Well, I am new to trying to catch up with this, but give me an example of the standards that they're talking about that's different than how we're organized. I mean, what are they trying to insert? Like,
What are they
whether
trying to
the
insert?
street lights work or not, or something?
Oh, no. This is about how neighborhoods are organized. So it would be kind of like, you know, maybe how many meetings are you supposed to have a year or something? Some very like small kind of like policy thing about how your neighborhood association works to be recognized by the city. Or, you know, number of board members, that would be the minimum number of board members. You know, these are just kind of like examples, where rather than it being some sort of larger picture thing about sort of your neighborhood's charter. So streetlights are not part of this. That's
Okay.
not at this level. This is very much deals with how the city recognizes neighborhood associations. That's all it is.
Are you done, Brenda?
Yeah.
Jan?
Yeah, thanks, Jackson. I'm just curious, are you here representing your opinion, or are you representing what the neighborhood leaders council is? Is there agreement? Would they all agree with what you're saying right now?
So I'm representing the opinion of the advisory committee. We haven't had a
Advisory
motion.
committee.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the NLC will endorse this view though. based on my discussions. I'm going to put this to a vote next Tuesday. And
We'll endorse which? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
they'll endorse the view that the bylaws and the charter, so to speak, I'm using it kind of loosely here, should be separate things and not mixed together. I believe we'll have the vote for that.
Yeah, and it sounds almost like there's an adversarial condition here. From what I kind of understand you're saying is that the city wants more control over neighborhood associations?
Well, I really think so. And I think that's the danger here, is that we could actually lose and not be recognized. I think it's a real danger.
Mhm.
And so we have a different sort of staff dynamic. I don't know if you guys know Rini Kane, who was the
Yeah, I
neighborhood
do.
liaison for a long time. And, Rini is not a perfect person. I don't agree with her on every issue, but I think that if you're familiar with her work, she was very supportive of neighborhood associations and the work that we do. And I don't think we have that right now in the city. They're also going to hire somebody to be a neighborhood liaison. They haven't done that. So. Brenda, do you still have your hand up, or do you want to take that down? Okay, great. Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I don't know what the NLC is and the CAC is. I see that you're the CYNA chair and the NLC chair, and then you talked about advisory council. I don't understand what those are. Can you clarify those for me? Because I'm not sure what the NLC does versus what you're representing here.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. So is this okay if Clara, can I take a little bit of time to talk about this? So this is,
You're on mute, Claire.
look agreeable, so I'll just go ahead and jump into it if that's okay. So the CYNA is the Cal Young Neighborhood Association. We're on the other side of the river from you guys. It's kind of like Delta Highway on one side, Coburg Road on the other, the river, and then sort of north of Beltline. That's our neighborhood association. And then the NLC is a group of neighborhood leaders. So everyone sends a representative to the NLC, all neighborhood associations. It's not a city commission. We chose not to go that route some years ago. So it's a forum where neighborhood leaders talk. And so not officially recognized by the city, but Fabio did join our meeting at 1 o'clock in the morning from Brazil. So they must take it kind of seriously. Does that answer your question, Susan?
What's the other advisory council you're referencing?
Oh yeah, great. So the advisory council has been working with the city on the NORP revision, and that includes members of the NLC and people that are interested in doing this.
Okay, and so how long has that been going on?
Wow, I was just thinking about that. I think we started that in February, unbelievably.
Well, I'm a little confused though, because you were saying just a few minutes ago that like we haven't had time to do any of these things, et cetera, and we haven't had time to dive in, and yet this has been going on since February. I am confused because I've been hearing about this since I joined in March, which is why I'm not really understanding. It feels discordant with the commentary you're making early on timing.
Timing, sorry. I guess maybe we'll watch the video recording and see what I said.
Okay, I heard you earlier say that there was a time concern that, we're trying to get this in front of them so they can, make these decisions, that they're trying to move forward with the NORP. So we're trying to get some feedback in, but you had said something to, we weren't aware that these things were happening. We only recently found out about the surveys, but this has been going on since February. So I'm trying to understand, Jackson, because I hear a lot of adversarial conversations when it comes to these dialogues between the NLC and the city. And I just am concerned because it always feels adversarial. And I don't feel like since I've been on board since March, I don't see a lot of progress. And I feel that maybe the adversarial aspect could be part of that reasoning. So I'm just trying to understand a little bit better.
Believe me, we're all frustrated by the lack of progress. So this has to go to the city attorney. The city staff wants to put this in front of the city attorney and then have councils consider this in the spring, I think the early spring. So they're trying to finish this by January. That's the kind of deadline that they've imposed.
Okay. And that's a new deadline?
That's a deadline that city staff has.
Okay.
to try to get this in front of council in,
Okay.
in the early spring, I think.
Got you. Okay.
But, you
thank
know, yeah, you're welcome. Great. And Misty, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Gosh, there's a lot going on here. Is this, and I'm just gonna paraphrase, so if I miss like something, forgive me. Is this about the city wanting to also publish along with neighborhood publications, like the equal amount of information on their newsletter? Is that like, or am I way off?
Oh yeah, that's part of this. So the city would like to have, one of the changes they're proposing, and this is exactly something that should be in the sort of bylaws and not the charter, so to speak, is that they want to have at least 25% of the space in your newsletter. So
Right.
that's what they proposed.
Right, and so when I've been hearing about this kind of this takeover or telling us what to do, I feel like this is kind of in a response to some aggressive people that have come through neighborhood organizations that have kind of like this political agenda that's full of propaganda, like political propaganda. And so I think just another way of looking at it, it's like, okay, they want to seize control of our freedom of speech or whatever, but also I feel like perhaps it's also the city like ensuring that accuracy is shared as well with the public, and like truth, quote unquote, is also shared. So if a community organization is spreading, let's just say like pro-Trump propaganda or anti-vaccine propaganda, and they're all on board as a neighborhood and they're spreading this all around their neighborhood, like how is the city going to counteract that misinformation? And so that's kind of also what I've been hearing, like the reason behind this. I don't know if anybody else has something to say about that, but wanted to throw that out there as well.
Claire, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was under the impression it's not so much about our experience with a previous board member type of thing. It's more about in response to Senate Bill 2001 and people resisting changes in housing code and more density and different kinds of transportation and stuff like that, that they don't want neighborhood leaders to go off and have and editorialize on those. And they want to verify the facts. My personal opinion about that is that they could approach this in a non-adversarial way by having publishing standards for publications. You know, like most publications say, you got to check your facts. You know, I mean, if or separate opinion from facts, or cite your sources, or and then if something's wrong, then you rebut it in the next edition. So I don't understand why they're doing this very, but I think paternalistic thing of wanting to review our newsletters before we put them out, you know, and to tell us what is the city's language, and that we publish the city's stuff. That feels weird to me. I don't know if you have thoughts on that, Jackson, but that's just my take on it.
Oh yeah, I think that's really well said. And you're right, it is. I think it is in response to HB 2001. There was kind of a sort of snarl between a certain neighborhood group that tried to present something as facts, and the city thought it was an opinion, and it was a sort of a little scrape there. So, gosh. Any other questions? Jan, go ahead.
Yeah. Have you had this type of conversation with other neighborhood boards? I'm just curious how you would compare the comments here with other neighborhoods that you've talked with. Have you had other conversations? How does
No,
this
you guys-
compare?
Well, thank you for asking. You guys are the first, so it's a kind of a rehearsal for some other ones we might be doing.
I see how it is.
Well, actually, how this came down was that the city asked to come to our meeting. And so we thought, well, if the city's going to come to our meeting, and John is very vehemently on the side of the opinion that Jackson has presented here. So that John felt like we should have both sides of issue at the, in the conversation. So that's why we only have Jonathan Jackson today. They didn't show up. I don't know. It's probably a communication thing, but.
And let me just say one other thing too. John has been doing this for a long time. I don't agree with everything John thinks, but I really respect him and his perspective and his wisdom. And I think that he's a very a person with like great integrity who really, cares about the institution of neighborhood associations. And also, Rini has been doing this for a long time too. And John and Rini don't see eye to eye on a lot of things either, but they agree on this. So a lot of neighborhood leaders that, there are some disagreements in this group of people, they agree on this issue and think that this matters.
So I don't know what we need to do, because I was expecting the city to tell us that they needed us to vote on something or do something by some date, and they haven't done that. So I just want to appreciate you coming, Jackson, and filling us in on your understanding of what's going on. And I understand also that the city is hiring a neighborhood liaison whose job it is to be this communication interface. And one request from the advisory committee was to hold off on this whole process till after that person was hired. And they said, no, that's not necessary. It won't make any difference. That was Fabio's response.
That was Fabio's response.
Yeah. So I think I don't know if does anybody have a thought about where we want to leave this for now?
This is Susan. I don't really feel comfortable voting on anything at this point with only one side represented. So I'd say we need to thank Jackson for coming and representing the opinion of the NLC, and try to get Fabio and team to make time to come.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Susan. So paying attention, reading this stuff, informing ourselves, and we don't have to make any decisions tonight.
I just want to say it does make sense to me. I heard Fabio say there were 9 different documents that they were trying to compromise down to a smaller number.
Yeah.
And that seemed like a reasonable thing to do. It seems like, if you're trying to find a way to compromise, to be able to affirm, making it simpler is a good idea. And it also makes sense to me to somehow have some fact checking. We certainly experienced that in some of our social justice committee back and forth from people's having an opinion that didn't fit the facts.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the pushback, but it seems like there's some places for some compromise to maybe be able to move forward. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, there are some good reasons for doing this revision. We just don't understand what is the big push, is there a hidden agenda? So there's those kind of questions. And I'm glad I'm not on the NLC. Let's table this for now, and appreciate Jackson for coming. Thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Very nice to see all of you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Next, we're going to go to the newsletter plan, Susan.
Okay, can you make me a presenter, please, so I can share my screen?
Sure. Sorry, I just want to share screen instead of presenters. There you go.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Hold on real quick. So I'm going to start with by sharing. Let me know if y'all can see. You should see a document. This is actually not my document. This is the lovely Charles's document that I would, lovely Charlesy, love it if you would be able to walk everyone through. This is speaking to the timeline, and the target is to get this out at least 1 week before the general membership meeting, or well, we're trying to get it in the as close to 1 week ahead of the February meeting as possible. And the reasoning for that is that we have our elections in March, and if people have not attended and want to be able to vote, they need to be able to attend. So it's really important to get these in homes. So I'm going to quit talking and ask Charles C. to take over quickly.
Sure, thank you. At our last or your last board meeting, the issue of the timing of the newsletter came up, and I thought again that it would be a good idea to present what the steps are that I've experienced in the last 2 newsletters that kind of suggest, well, they document that this is really a 3-month process, pretty much. And to avoid it being a really unpleasant and not successful crisis, it's important for us to all kind of honor those various stages. And if you volunteer to help write articles, that they get done on time, etc., or the whole thing collapses. I mean, we're obligated to do this newsletter. It isn't elective. And we're now, I'd say, at the starting point for getting it done by mid-February. And getting it done means received in people's homes in printed form. So today's meeting might be the start of a high-level brainstorm of content. Final decisions on the content of the newsletter could be made by a committee or a group of people that the board agrees would coordinate this, and should probably be decided by December 5th, which would also be the time that people would be volunteering and being asked to do parts of that format, the content. I volunteered to do the layout again. And I really have a vested interest that people do what they say they're going to do on time. I assume that Susan is going to be the coordinator of this.
Yes.
Oh, yes, good.
Yes, I am.
And then by January 4th, I would have a template done with placeholders for the various subject headings that we agreed to. And then they would start getting filled in as people do their parts. And there will be last minute changes without a doubt. By January 11th, we would need to see final copy, meaning the work, the writing, so that it can be poured into that layout. Edits would be made between January 18th and 20th. A rough draft would be shared with whomever is appropriate to look at it. And around January 19th, what I've done in the last 2 times is send a draft version to Connie, who is the contact person at the printer, for her suggestions and comments. And what she's primarily concerned about there is to give it to the print people who will make sure that there aren't any conflicts with the mechanics of actually printing it. That's going to be her concern. Around January 22nd would be the last day for any edits. On the 23rd, I would be sending the printer the final document newsletter. What happens with the city the last 2 times is that simultaneously I send a copy to Cindy, as city staff. And she has never had an issue with that. I think it's more for her files. Quite honestly, I don't think it's to scrutinize or edit our work. That's why I find it kind of interesting, the conversation we've had tonight. By February 3rd, QSL, well, let me say the printer needs 5 to 10 business days from the time they receive that file to the time they can print the hard copy newsletters, which they then put labels on and mail out. And that mailing is estimated to be around February 3rd. They allow a week to see it show up in people's mailboxes. In my experience, that it's usually faster that it pops up in people's mailboxes. But at the very latest, we would want people to receive it around February 10th. Our our general meeting is on the following Monday. And this has worked out quite well in the past. Those are the steps. It's, in the middle of all of that are the holidays. And so that's going to, of course, cause people to be distracted from participating in this at times. And I just urge all of us not to let that happen.
Any
I'm going-
questions? Go ahead, Brenda, or whoever.
Oh, that was Susan. I
How
was
many
just gonna-
words in an article?
It varies depending on the article, and I think what we'll do is go through the various content that we are proposing and discuss at a high level which ones we think the priorities are, and then Charles and I will play around a little bit with some of the layouts and get an idea of what the word count should be.
You want to do that now?
Well, we're gonna go through the content that we're proposing right now. That's the first
Okay.
step. Indeed. Any questions of Charles on the timeline? Okay. So the proposed concepts, I had sent out an email to the entire board back in September, actually asking for content suggestions. I did hear back from Charles. Jan also has come back and provided some ideas as well, or said he'd be open to writing some articles as well. So we've got a few ideas here, but we obviously are open to more. The first one is obviously there is a lot of questions that will be had around the neighborhood plan. We need to be able to provide an update to our community as to what is happening with regards to the plan and the CAC. I am proposing that John, Beth, sorry Beth, I don't know why it did Harriet there, but Beth and myself as the CAC representatives can co-author that article after the November 30th meeting we have with the city on the CAC and the neighborhood plan. That did get top billing last year. Last newsletter, it was on the front page. I would say we want to at least start that on the front page and then direct people to more content in the back, unless it's just not a non-eventful commentary. But I do think that there's going to be some interesting content there. Any questions on the neighborhood plan CAC idea? Does anyone disagree that that should be featured prominently? Okay, awesome, thank you. The next thing was going to be an article on recycling rate that I was going to write. Basically, I was going to do a combination, go beyond just talking about our event that we had and answer a lot of the questions that we got. We collected 516 pounds of plastic, 2s, 4s, and 5s from our neighborhood event. And that was not with a ton of awareness. We didn't make it into the newsletter because we didn't have our date at that time, the print newsletter, we didn't have our dates. So there was just some things that we just couldn't do. I think that the more awareness we have, the more visibility we're going to get, more people will come, which will be huge. People will have more time to collect their plastic if we can get it out to them as early as possible. And I'm not saying that we wait until this print newsletter to start telling them about it, obviously in the emails. that Claire drives. We obviously want to be able to start talking about the fact that we're going to do another event in April, and we have locked on the date for that event. So we are moving forward with that. We also, though, want to answer questions. A lot of people don't understand what to put in their existing bins. They don't understand that they can actually put their food into their yard waste bin and what that is then used for. So we'd like to be able to kind of talk about recycling done right, talking more in detail. And Jan, this is something I actually wanted to talk to you about. I'd love you to help me do a little bit on composting, because that is a very big part of recycling. It's not just plastic recycling, it's composting is how we recycle our food. You can put it into yard waste. You can also do home composting. So I'd love to, maybe if you and I can chat a little bit offline about that. I hope that's a yes. I can't see them. Any questions or feedback on that? As many of y'all may know, tonight is the meeting of the City Council, and the Zip-O-Matic topic was going to be held. We definitely want to talk about that and whatever is going to be coming out of tonight's meeting. I don't have a person assigned to this. Is there anyone that is personally passionate about the Zip-O-Matic issue that would be willing to write this article?
We could ask Dharmika maybe,
We could.
or
Okay.
also Sarah Macy is heading up the community organizing around that.
Okay, I'll reach out to Sarah and Dharmika. Okay. The next was, we would like very much to do more of an overview of what we learned at the DAM meeting last week. I mean, obviously, we're not going to be able to go as in depth into all the things, but I do think it would be great to do a little bit of a print summary of what we had and point people to the recording. And Chelsea has agreed to assist in that as one of the co-presenters. One of the big things we want to do is obviously remind people about the upcoming election. So there will be a board election in March. We need people to attend, and we need to make sure people know that they have to attend the February meeting if they want to be able to vote. So we will write a piece about the election in the spirit of not reinventing the wheel. I am going to take the article from last year and edit it accordingly, and that will be our piece, unless anybody else wants to write something new. Okay. All right. The next one, we would like to talk about the update from the board retreat. What is the RRCO vision, and what else we're doing there. I don't really know where we are on the retreat. I just know the date. So perhaps later in the agenda, we'll get a little bit more of an update on that. But we will need someone to help write that article. There was a great suggestion to do a call for volunteers, almost in a want ad style, and to kind of make it fun and humorous. We got a lot of positive feedback from our edition of the human pet matchup last time. Yeah, we did. Like, people are like, they love it because they just want to see something fun, not all newsy. And so we were thinking it'd be kind of fun to do some want ads. So this is where we would have reached out to each of the organizations, the emergency committees, the social justice committee, what do we need having done in the school and for the weeding, and how can we kind of get more excitement around volunteering and make it a little bit more enchanting. Next up on the list, and this is new, this was not from the suggestions, but it's just one that I thought, coming out of the fact that we are going to have a new city council representative, by this time we will know who that is and that person will be up and running. I think it would be great if we could do an interview or a letter from that new representative speaking to us in specific issues that we brought to them. So it would be a great opportunity to get their feedback on the things that we said we thought were most important. Yes, Ms. Claire.
I was wondering if it would be appropriate to say something about how we kind of got cheated out of our elected representatives and the county commissioners and the city at the same time, or if I will be moot by then.
I think by then it might be moot. I currently agree with you. I'm not a big fan of the current situation, but I think probably not a good idea.
Okay.
But I like that attitude, man. Let's go get them. Any other suggestions or thoughts on that? All right,
Jan. Jan had a comment.
Dan? For some reason, I can't see his
Yeah.
hand.
I learned a new term from the fellow I interviewed, and the term is incremental urbanism. It refers to a process that, to some degree, we're already involved in. The neighborhood plan could kind of fit into that. I would like to see an article in the newsletter that is incremental. What is a more hopeful kind of a destination for our neighborhood and our community, as sort of just a small part of the larger scope of things, in terms of, given the trends, given the condition of the planet, what might a more sustainable neighborhood look like, and how might even some of the neighborhood plan fit into that, and then extrapolating even further into a more ecologically responsible kind of a neighborhood, because we're nowhere remotely like that right now. So I would like to see something that isn't pie in the sky, but something that we already see some fragments of already here in the neighborhood, and already in other places around the country, of sort of somewhat previews of more the direction I think really a lot of us would like to go in. And of course, I would like to write something like that.
I think it sounds really interesting. Claire, I know that there was a conversation around newsletters and how much we can do on opinion versus kind of more stating things on a more factual basis. I know that it's been a conversation in the past. I don't know how that would apply. I mean, it sounds somewhat, it could be a combination of both, depending on how it's written. I got to be honest, Jan, I don't fully follow you on what you're saying. I'd have to see an outline to kind of fully understand it. But
I just want
Claire?
to say that we're a little over time on this conversation.
Yep. All
And
right.
I see Brenda's hand up.
Okay. Yep, Brenda, real quick.
I think the social justice's little subcommittee that's been exploring writing a land acknowledgement would not want to do that at all. But we've been learning a lot about the people who live with us and have lived in this land for a long time. And I think it might be quite a little fun article. That's why I asked how long, to particularly using David, the professor that's at Oregon State University, things he said like about how the people who lived in this land a while back lived here, and that they were not transient, but they didn't live in the same place all the time, and they'd come down to the water and do this, and when it was the time for.
We don't have time for the description of the article, Brenda.
But
are you making a proposal?
I would be glad to have that group help on that if that would be something you'd accept.
I'll take let me also kind of look in and hear the rest of the feedback on this. I need people to volunteer on some of the other topics. If we start to feel like we're going to get to be too much, we might have to put some things off. I definitely think that an article on the people that used to be on this land makes very sense, and it's relevant to conversations that the neighborhood's been having. So I'd love to find a way to make it work. We just got to figure it all out, and I got to have volunteers to help us write these things in the timelines that are to be done. So
Okay.
if there's any other feedback or other suggestions, please send myself or Charles C. and Charles C. Your thoughts. We appreciate it. Any other questions?
Good work, you guys. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
you're on it.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item is the board retreat. And I sent y'all out a list that several of us have worked over to prioritize and organize into categories. And our proposal for the board retreat is that first item of the agenda would be to add things that aren't on that list that should be. And then we would want to prioritize those and figure out exactly how we're going to get those types of what needs to be done. So that's the whole agenda for the board retreat.
And
There
we're
could-
meeting in person, right?
We're meeting in person, and was it Jan or Pat? Do we have confirmed at Iris Place? Yeah. Go.
I was told a month ago when I was talking with, forgot his name, but he said that far out in the future, making a plan is no problem. I would not say, from my understanding, that we are scheduled, but I can check on that, and it shouldn't be a problem because the application was put in some time ago. So I'll double check on that. But no, it's not a solid. I don't know for positive, but I can
Okay,
check on that.
so we need that confirmed as soon as possible. Okay, great. And any other questions about the retreat or ideas or concerns?
Can you just repeat the date of the retreat?
December 10th, 9 to 12.
I mean, I've never been here before. Do we bring paper? Do we bring chartboards? Do we bring coffee and treats?
Yes, we have done all of that in the past,
The place has a kitchen, so things could be warmed up.
but there's not a meal on the agenda. But last time Susan kindly provided treats.
Yeah, I'll probably bake something if.
Okay. So I think you can email me with other ideas and questions and concerns. If you think there should be other things on the agenda, that would be important to know sooner rather than later. Brenda.
Well, I'm just, when I think about what we've talked about before about facilitation and process, is somebody working on exactly how we're going to attempt to do all the things that you said versus just show up and begin to try to figure it out? I mean, is there someone who's the facilitator working on various ways of attacking these things?
I think that this is the time to make that happen, to have that conversation. And Beth and I, and is it John, who's the other person on the committee? Are on the planning committee. If you'd like to, we could have a meeting and involve you, Brenda, for a discussion about facilitation. That would be great.
I think I now might have that kind of energy because I'm not packing, I'm only unpacking.
Okay, so it's up to me to get back to everybody and make that happen then. Misty, I see your hand.
Is the topic of doing a neighborhood canvas one of the topics?
It's the next item on this agenda.
Okay.
But
I
you know,
saw something in the email thread about waiting to talk about this for the retreat.
well, if you look at the list of projects that we agreed on, that we sent out, and it's not on there, if you want it to be on there, that's your opportunity to get it on there.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, can we move on? Okie dokie. Canvassing proposal, Misty.
Okay. This is something that is not only mine or only my project, but I know that it's been something on several people's minds that we've been talking about for many years. So I just am proposing that we get started on the work. And so I know there's a lot of people that want to be involved with this. So I'm basically suggesting that we start somewhere. So, Beth.
I guess my question for you, Misty, is what the purpose of the canvas would be. In other words, what question are we trying to answer and what's the outcome?
Right. So in the before times, before COVID, the goal was to knock on doors and answer questions about what people want to see more of in their community organization, what would draw more people in to get involved with the neighborhood, what events do they want to see more of, what are their concerns, you know, having a conversation with our neighbors about who they are and what they want and what they enjoy. And so it's getting to know our neighbors and recruiting more folks to be involved in the neighborhood organization as well. Getting you know, building relationships between the board members and active members of our organization to reach out to other neighbors who are not so active or don't even know existence. And, you know, letting them know who we are and what we're about and what they'd like to see more of and what they're about.
So the intent would be for board members to do the canvassing and others that have been active, like Carlene and others that have been very active in the.
Whichever the board members are interested. I don't think it would be like, you are a board member, you're gonna go canvassing. You know, go ahead. I see your hand, Claire.
So what I'm hearing, which is different than what I was understanding before, is that the canvas is about outreach, not about data collection. Is that correct?
It's both. We're gonna have a questionnaire with questions on it that there are several people here in groups here that have a set of questions they want to know from our neighborhood people, right? And also doing outreach. Like it's gonna naturally do, we can do what we want with this. It's not just outreach, but it's also data collection. So yeah, we could make it what we want it. I'm just saying, let's start the work because it's gonna take years. Probably, you know, it'll be this is a long process. And I don't have any fantasies that we're gonna knock on 20,000 doors in 6 months, right? Like it'll take a little while, but we start somewhere, eventually we're gonna knock on a lot of doors and recruit a lot of people and get a lot of information. But it is a big project. So go ahead, Brenda. Oh, you're muted. Brenda, you're muted. Okay, Susan?
Yeah, hey, you keep saying that there are other groups. I just don't know who the groups are, and I much worry about data collection for groups that when we don't know what the groups are. I mean, I can understand.
I'm talking about are the emergency preparedness team and our social justice team.
Okay, so two committees are interested in doing canvassing, and they're asking the board to go do that on their behalf. Is that what I'm hearing?
They have voiced interest in participating and wanting to be involved with developing the questionnaire because there's data that they're interested in revolving around this.
And then how much data, in order for this to be a viable data source, you need to have a critical mass. So there would have to be a minimum number to accurately represent our neighborhood. Otherwise, we really couldn't use it. Have you done any of the calculations to kind of get an idea of what that would need to be, or have we ever done that in the past based on our overall size, Claire?
Do you want to answer that, Misty, or can I weigh in there?
I don't know the answer to that, so go ahead.
Okay, well, I don't know that the intention of the data collected is to represent the neighborhood as a whole in terms of sampling. We might instead choose to go to a certain set of like the new people who live over our park, those new developments over there, or the people who live up behind the navigation center and around near where Misty lives, you know, pockets of the neighborhood that we might want to target just to get more diversity into the involvement. I don't think it necessarily has to be statistical.
As long as we were very clear that it would not be a representation. And I think that's the important thing is that we can't, if we were to do something like this, there could never be a time that we say that this is what the neighborhood
Yeah.
wants, because it isn't.
No,
Believe me, I used to teach survey research. I really appreciate that comment.
right.
Jen?
Yeah, I applaud Misty for taking the initiative. I mean, it's a little bit sometimes out of our comfort zone to walk up to somebody's door and knock on the door. If you were to put on a map where the board members live in River Road, we live in a tiny little geographical part of River Road. And I think the idea to go off to these more distant parts of the neighborhood and make acquaintance with people who probably don't even know we have a neighborhood association. I
Right.
actually think that's kind of an exciting thing to do. I would like to see something like this. And like Misty says, we're not going to go knock on 1,000 doors, but to spread out into different parts of the neighborhood and see what we come up with, I think would be pretty interesting. I would be involved with doing that.
Thanks, Jan. Brenda?
It seems, it feels really overwhelming to me. And yeah, I know that now that there are now concerts in the park, that having, if we put together something that really demonstrated who we are and communicated that to people, to be assertive about interacting with people in the concerts in the park, and maybe gathering some information. I'm pretty not going to give you much information if you just are a stranger and coming up to me, even if you're knocking on the door and saying, I represent the neighborhood. You're not going to get much from me. And I think that's true for a lot of people.
You wouldn't answer if you are interested in recycling. I mean, Brenda, we're not asking for anybody's like personal like information. We're asking questions like, do you like to go running? Do you ride a
You
bike?
have a front yard garden.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. We're not going to be asking for, you know, who did you vote for president or anything, nothing like that. But, you know, this is just, and we're all hopefully will review the questions that we propose. Hopefully there's going to be a committee that's created. We're going to wordsmith the questions that we all agree are important, that we want to know the information.
I guess I'm really, I don't want to go down creating it until we know for sure what is the goal of what we're doing. And then that would shape what kind of questions went on it.
Right.
It feels too shotgunny to me at this point.
Beth has her hand up.
Thank you. Yeah, Brenda, I really appreciate what you said about utilizing the park. You know, from what I understand, there's not a lot of connection between the community organization and the park. And it might be an opportunity to pick a concert that's going to be well attended, set up a table there with information about the community organization and when we meet and how people can get involved in the kinds of activities, the social justice committee, the recycling that's happening, the other kinds of things that the neighborhood organization has been involved in. And I think it would also perhaps give us the opportunity to reach out to some of those younger members of the community. Because I know when my kids were growing up, we heavily used the park. I hardly ever go over there anymore. So I appreciate your comments.
Okay. I also just wanted to say that I don't see why it would have to be board members doing the, it seems to me like a really good volunteer classified ad, you know, to get people involved in our co-work as participating in the canvassing. Why do you think it would need to be board members?
I'm just offering it up as an opportunity for board members to participate and get out and meet their neighbors. Not that
Okay.
it's required of anybody here to be involved. I'm inviting folks to be involved. This is, you know, and then
No.
the other committees that want to be involved, any volunteer that wants to be involved. That want
Okay, okay.
Okay.
So I don't know that we are, so what is your ask? What, do you have a motion? Do we just want to put it on the retreat agenda and put it in the context of our whole agenda? What would you like to do?
I would like it to be added to the agenda for the retreat.
Okay, so we've had some preliminary discussion. People can go home and think about it some more, and we'll make a decision at the retreat where it falls.
Can I just make a recommendation, Messi? If you could have it just a little bit tighter, like help it, you know, maybe Jackie's got some recommendations, maybe there's, you know, the Social Justice Committee has specific questions to get a better idea. I really like the idea of maybe instead of going out and doing the canvassing, I like the idea of using the concerts in the park, bearing in mind, and I put this in the note, that when we went out and promoted the recycling event at the concerts in the park, more than half the people were not from our neighborhood.
Right.
People love those concerts and they come to them and they don't care if they live here or not. So, but
Right.
I think that's an interesting idea. I just think we need to have it a little bit tighter before we come into the meeting so we can vote, because I don't really think we have enough to vote on right now. Does that make sense?
Right, exactly. I hear you, but I just want to make clear like that anybody that wants to be involved with this has an opportunity to have a seat at the table at the very beginning, and that we're not like jumping ahead and making decisions without involving, you know, everybody that wants to be involved. And so I love the concerts at the park idea. That could be just one, you know, focus, one, you know, that we do, but also knock on doors, and also, you know, each of the committees that are interested in being involved have their own events, you know, that they can share the questionnaire with folks that they encounter. We can have it online and share it in our newsletter for folks that just want to fill it out online, and we can reach, you know, tons of folks that way, right, that are in our newsletter. So there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of ideas of how to do this. So I don't want to make the mistake of being like, this is how it's going to be, and these are the people that are going to be involved, and because it's, you know, this is a group effort and there's a lot of great ideas. So
If I can make a suggestion, Misty, that that for the retreat, maybe you and anybody else who might want to be on this committee can sit down and outline more of a specific plan, like goals and objectives for doing it, that whoever wants to participate in can have a firmer idea of what the project is.
Okay.
Okay, great. Anybody want to work with Misty on that? Okay, Jan will work with you on that. And we can put it to the Social Justice Committee. There might be people there who'd be interested as well.
Yeah, I was at their meeting recently, can't remember if it was last month, and they were very interested in it. And so, yeah.
Great, thank you, Misty.
Yeah, thank you.
So the only item we have left is what are we going to do for the general meeting in December and January? Usually in December, we have a social. I don't know that we want to have a Zoom social. Susan doesn't want to have a Zoom social. Good body language, Susan. So we could always take a vacation. That's my suggestion. But any other thoughts, Brenda?
Where did I read that the plan before COVID was to have a dessert potluck?
That's the social thing. Yeah, that's what we've done before.
Okay, I remember that now that I think about it, at the annex one year.
Yeah,
It was really quite fun. With the amount of people that are sick in just of the 20 of us that are moving into this area, it is amazing how sick it is out there, and having a dessert potluck does not go high in my Gee, that would be fun list.
Yeah, 44 people died of COVID last week in Lynn County.
Oh, I didn't look at that, but I'm just thinking
Yeah.
of the virus people around. People are really sick with a virus. They're not positive for
It's-
COVID.
Yeah. So I think nixing a face-to-face social is a good idea. We could go caroling. We could go door-to-door caroling. Susan?
A lot of the other groups don't meet on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
I don't know if it really makes sense for us to meet again in December, unless we have a topic of significant interest. I would propose that we don't have a December meeting and that we instead have a January one, unless we somehow or another think something miraculous is going to happen. The only other option is that we could just have December and have the new council person come and speak, but since we don't know who they are or when we will be able to
Yeah.
find out if they can come, it's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. We could also invite all the committees, including the canvassing and social justice and prep and the board itself. We're having to have meetings and people do work instead of go to the meeting. You know, have work times. So that would be my suggestion.
Well,
So
we're
I'd like to make a proposal that we cancel December.
Okay.
And I make a
We have-
motion that we don't have a December meeting.
Okay, Brenda, are you seconding that? She's got a thumbs up. Okay, so all in favor? Put a thumbs up. Daniel, I don't know if you're online or not. Dan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. And Susan raised her hand and Misty raised her hand, so I guess there's discussion now.
It's spotty, so it kind of comes and
Oh,
goes.
okay. Susan, did you take your hand down?
No, I had voted, I had said yes, I proposed that, and I already
Oh.
kind of made my case as to why I think we
Okay,
shouldn't have it.
okay. And Missy, did you have a new hand up?
I was
No.
just saying, like, we're already having our board meeting.
Yeah,
in
okay.
December.
So are we ready to vote on this then?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I kind of called the vote too early. So now let's try that again. On the reactions page, give us a green check if you're yes, and a red X if you're no. And Dan, we can't see your vote.
Yeah, I
Jan,
voted. Dan voted yes.
okay. Jan is a agnostic on this question.
Beth, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
He's a thumb sideways.
I can't find my check, but I'm a yes.
Okay, so I have 5 yes, 1 abstain. And is that it?
You had Daniel and Beth. I think that makes 6 yeses.
Oh, it's because I didn't vote. I did. Okay,
That makes 7, yeah.
okay. So no, actually it's telling me right here that it's only 5. Oh, Beth.
Because
Okay.
Beth hasn't
Beth.
found the button, but you have,
Okay,
I see
okay.
6, I saw 6 yeses.
6 yeses. Okay, thank you. 6 yeses and 1 abstain. So we passed. No meeting next month, except for we're meeting on December 10th from 9 to 12 to be confirmed. Okay, that's the end of the agenda.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
Have
I
a good
got
one.
something real quick if
Sure.
it's all right to ask a real quick question.
Yeah.
So if it's okay if we all want to track off, it's fine. I know that's totally self-serving, but the website that was created for the new Ward 7 applicant neighborhood kind of meetup, has anybody been on this site besides myself in this group?
Are you talking about to submit an application site?
No, it's like supposedly is formed by 3 people from each of the 3 well, not Traintown doesn't have a neighborhood association, but from the WIT, Santa Clara, and RRCO, and it is kind of an organized group that is posting questions to potential candidates, tracking their applications, sending out emails to.
We did the questions last month, Dan. We did questions that we submitted for the candidate last month.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
knows
no,
that.
this
He's
is-
talking about a
He saw
website.
those.
This is an actual
that's separate?
website.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did see that website, Dan. So what's your question?
Well, so what's odd about it is that it lists the organizers for it as one person from each neighborhood association, and it is written as in a way you could read it as that it is endorsed by RRCO. It says volunteer steering committee, Jordan Locke, River Road Community Organization. I've never heard of Jordan Locke. I don't know if anybody else has heard of Jordan Locke or he's even a member of RRCO. Same with Lauren Skinner for the WIT and Patty Steinhardt from Santa Clara. But if you're just a regular person who goes on this thing, it would almost appear as though there's this kind of unified effort between the three different community organizations to kind of sanction both the questions they're asking on this, the direction that's going. And I don't think we've taken a position on it, let alone had anybody endorse anything that's being asked on here. So it gets pretty close to the line, if not crossing the line. I mean, I don't feel comfortable, even if I'm trying to be objective, because obviously I'm a candidate here. But I think that as a board, we should probably take a peek at this.
Where is it?
It's on Ward 7 Neighbors United.
Where is that?
If you go to Ward 7, the number 7, Ward 7 Neighbors United.org, it is a page that's dedicated specifically to filling this. But they have a petition going where people can sign it. They're calling on the city council to do certain things. The applicants can answer their questions, and they track if you don't answer their questions. And if you go to the About page on there, it says their steering committee is up by 3 people, one from Santa Clara, one from WIT, one from RRCO. But it doesn't say there is members of these organizations. It's saying it's from River Road Community Organization. Now, again, that it makes it feel as though it's been endorsed by these 3 organizations.
And in
Which
fact, we
we
don't know
haven't.
who that person is. You're right.
Right.
You're right to call that out. Yeah.
He's not a
Is
member.
it-
He's not a member of our organization.
No,
Right.
there we go.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, so the whole, first of all, I did a quick little, search on these folks. Jordan and Patty are very right wing. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way. So not that should have any bearing. It is what it is. But if you're on here and you just, as a voter, you pop on here,
yeah.
you're going to get the impression that this is a River Road sanctioned activity website, and their views are representing us, and they clearly don't. So I don't know that Santa Clara is in on this. I would doubt that they are, and I know that the Whitaker is. So anyway, it feels pretty sketchy to me. I know that the person who wrote the webpage is Paul Conti, because it's the same language he uses and everything. And the stuff that they're calling for, the petition is pretty inflammatory. So I wouldn't want our name attached to this. And so I thought I would bring it to the board.
So do you have a suggestion about how we act on this information?
Well, it's been brought up to council in public comment that they should look to this website for information on the people who submitted their application to it. My suggestion is we write a letter to council and submit it as part of public testimony that we don't sanction the website. We don't know who these people are, and if they want to have their views, that's fine. But they have nothing to do with RRCO, and then send a note over to Kate as well as to the WIT and have them kind of sign off on the same thing.
Sounds important. It's like the most important thing we did all night.
Yeah.
This is really slurpy.
Yeah.
So just for future reference, Dan, if you have something like this that should be on the agenda, if you can shoot someone an email, like me an email to put it on the agenda, that would be really useful.
I would
Um,
have. My phone got dropped in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean last week, so I just
Oh.
How awesome.
so
Hey,
not
Okay.
kidding. So it
can I
was,
ask a quick question separately?
yeah.
You're at city council. Can you tell us anything about Zip-O-Matic?
I'm not at city council.
Oh, I thought you were at city council today. I'm sorry.
No, I was trying to watch both things at the same time, which has been complicated.
Okay, I just wanted to see if we had an update on Zippo.
The testimony was overwhelmingly against.
Against our
Zippo.
proposal?
No, against Zippo and
Oh,
in
okay.
favor of.
Okay.
They did
good.
have a representative from the company who came and
Oh.
and tried to pretend that they were doing something to fix it. It didn't go over very well. Kind of pick his audience, but yeah. If
Okay.
you look at, by the way, back to the question again, if you go to questions for applicants, I mean, the questions they ask right out of the gate is, you know, did you vote in the past 3 elections? Are you in favor of HB 2001?
Mm,
As I mean, it is just like a you know, are the who's who of the Paul Conti, you know, hit list. So this is deeply troubling if you know we're trying to pretend that this has anything to do with the views of Ward 7 or anybody else.
yeah, I interesting.
So
Yeah.
Claire, it
Yeah.
sounds like that's something that should come from you and John as co-chairs.
ASAP.
RRCO.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was just looking on the site to see if there is any place where you can put comments in that other people would see, but it doesn't give you that opportunity.
Doesn't
Yeah.
look like that other people
Yeah.
would see. You can send
I
them
think
a
we need to
comment.
get. I think we need to get a letter to the city council and possibly even send that to Eugene Weekly and get
I
that
agree.
published by the Eugene Weekly as well. We need to, and I would recommend that we contact our peers. I don't know, maybe Jackson can contact his peer or the NLC since John's out of town, or Claire, if you know
Yeah.
the folks over at the other ones, get them
Yeah.
to do the same. Maybe we just do a joint letter from all 3 wards saying these people do not represent us. Here are the people that represent your committee. I mean, your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just looked at the website and where you have about where a group normally says, this is who we are. It just has a map. It doesn't even say who's doing this website.
Yeah.
Oh,
Looks pretty bogus.
if you scroll down, Jan, you'll see the names that Daniel was talking about.
Oh, I did.
That are the
Okay.
people that,
So here's what I think I can make happen.
okay.
John and I will, as soon as John get back, and he has COVID and in the East Coast, so he doesn't know how he's traveling, but I can talk to him on the phone. We will do this letter to the council, and we can CC the weekly. We can also post a warning about it on our Facebook page.
Could we also put it in I never watch it, but the rest of you do that neighbors to neighbors thing
Next door.
next
John
door?
does
Sure, we could do
occasionally on
that.
there. John posts on there occasionally.
And I noticed that Joshua is here. I don't know if this is something for your newswire, Joshua.
We can't hear
You
you.
look like
Can't hear you.
you're muted and barely heard what we were talking about.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not doing the newswire anymore. That's John Q's thing.
Oh, okay.
But you know, I mean, I do the KBW news stuff.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yes, I just worry about spreading this information out to the public and having it get more popular as a result, and then gaining more popularity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We can misprint their website address.
I mean, I just worry that this is a way for them to recruit. They're using us as a way to recruit the exact people that they want. And so perhaps taking a deep breath and let's think about this very carefully before posting it on social media and broadcasting it around that this isn't us. Like,
Well, I mean, I agree. I mean, that's like a concern I would have. My own calculus on this is that the questions that they're asking are baited questions for a very limited number of people that they're trying to target. This has everything to do with the May election, kind of gearing up for it. The whole point of it is to get somebody on record to talk about it or to not talk about it, as in the case may be, and then use that as a basis for the campaign against them in May. It just is what it is. It's clearly the same kind of people, but to me, the pitch to the story for the Eugene Weekly is the same people who went against Claire from outside the ward are now creating a website to try to influence the selection of her replacement by using bogus people, dubious connections to established neighborhood associations, and with some pretty inflammatory language. So that's the pitch I'll use to Camilla at Eugene Weekly. I think it's pretty fair, and I get that I'm biased, but I think I'm on kind of stable ground here.
Mhm. Okay, I'll take all of these thoughts back to the white-haired senior for consultation. The silverback, yes. And we'll do something with it. Dan, we might follow up with you on that too.
Sounds good.
Is that good for everybody?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll let you know.
out of Misty's concern, maybe I can see that it might just not, I don't know that in the neighborhood or the neighborhood news or whatever we were talking about,
Next door,
Planet
yeah.
Weekly's better.
Yeah, the weekly's better, and just writing a letter to the council is better too.
Yeah.
I don't, based on the amount of money that these people had to defeat Claire in the first place, I don't think awareness is going to be an issue for them for long, because they're going to start driving awareness of this. And, you know, they've got money, frankly, and they're spending it, unfortunately, as we can see here. So,
Yeah.
all right. Thanks, everybody. Are we
Thank
done?
you.
Yeah,
Are
we're
we done,
done.
Claire? All right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
okay.
y'all.
Good night.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
bye.
Thanks, Claire.
Got capture the chat. Okay, ending meeting.